Notre Dame goes to Hard Rock Stadium. Will there be a crowd there? I hope so, because the Irish are coming in off a national championship appearance, and they're ready to get to work with a new quarterback, C.J. Carr. But they had the best running back duo in college football, perhaps. Jeremiah Love. I haven't said this actually yet, but I think he's going to win the Heisman. That's my Heisman winner, Jeremiah Smith. I think he's just too good. And then you get Jadarian Prince with him in the backfield. It's just filthy. You need Jaden Greathouse to step up at receiver for you. He was their best receiver last year, but you also get Malachi Fields transferring in from Virginia. Dude's a stud. Just a really good football player. Reminds me a lot of Jameson Williams. That would be my player comp for him at his time at Alabama. Offensive line is really good. You're only replacing 2 guys, and those 2 guys played really well. Notre Dame had some injuries on the offensive line last year, and they didn't skip a beat. That goes to show you how good that offensive line is. But what's CJ Carr here? Can they get him some completions early? Can they do that to help him get comfortable going in and win this game? Well, let's take a look at Miami's personnel and see if it equates to anything. Carson Beck transfers in from Georgia. What's he going to be? He was one of those guys that you thought, okay, he's going to take the step from really good to elite and be a Heisman Trophy candidate. Wrong. Some butt last year. Wasn't all his fault. That offensive line was uncharacteristically bad. Had no type of running game. And they led the league in drops last year. So, that's not necessarily something he can help. Mark Fletcher is back at running back. 600 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. Really good. You thought Martinez was going to be the lead back, but he kind of took some of those carries. When I talk about question marks or unproven guys versus worrisome stuff, there's a difference. Well, with Miami, I'm worrisome about this receiving core. I'd look to JoJo Trader to be the main guy in this receiving core, but I'm nervous about it. Elijah Lofton's at tight end. Could be really good for you. On the defensive side of the ball, Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain coming off the edge. That's a really good edge duo. I think if Miami wants to win this game, that's where it comes from. At linebacker, you got Mohamed Toure, Wesley Basante, good linebacking core. The secondary is very unproven, though. O.J. Frederique is the only one back. Now, the secondary was butt last year, but you also don't know what this group of guys is going to be. So, with that being said, we'll talk a little bit about Notre Dame's defense. Babacar Traore. See, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so my apologies. If you're looking at the name, you wouldn't either. But he's a guy we know. Not necessarily a household name, but it's a guy we know. He's up front on the edge. Really good. Jason Onye, he missed a lot of time last year because of a mental health injury. I don't necessarily know what that means, but he was really good while he was there. He needs to step up. Donovan Hennish, very good. He's on the inside. Shouldn't be able to get leaned on. Bryce Young needs to step up on the outside, though. Not quarterback Bryce Young. Bryce Young, edge rusher for Notre Dame. It's a young guy. I believe he's a sophomore or a redshirt sophomore. He needs to be big for them. Replace that production that's been lost. Now, this is where Notre Dame really shines. The linebacking core. Jalen Sneed is young but very, very talented, and Drake Bowen is one of the best linebackers in college football. Christian Gray and Leonard Moore is one of the best cornerback duos in college football. And then Adon Scholler is back at safety. He's really good. And Jalen Stroman is a guy that you probably remember from 2023 at Virginia Tech because he was one of the best safeties in college football. But he got hurt 24 snaps into his season last year. Can he get back to that point where he was the year prior? Can he be that good? I think he can. Okay, let's get into some of these matchups. Both of these teams are great up front. who's going to give? Who's going to start leaning on the other? Notre Dame has a great offensive line, defensive line. Miami has a great offensive line, defensive line. Can Francis Moanoa's group for Miami up front lean on that Notre Dame defensive line? I guess time will tell. Can Miami's wide receiver core do anything against this elite Notre Dame secondary? Can Miami contain the run game? Now let's shift over a little bit to Notre Dame on offense. What's C.J. Carr going to be? Can they get him some completions early to build that confidence? And can he fire against that unproven secondary of Miami? Unproven doesn't mean bad. So, what's that unproven secondary? If that secondary is really good for Miami, C.J. Carr could have some issues. How about this Notre Dame improved? We perceive it as improved, but this new receiving core, are they going to be good? Can they cook against Miami's secondary? A lot of this stuff does come down to that secondary for Miami, and also what happens up front in the trenches. Let's move on to a little bit of my impact players. The spread on this game. The spread on this game is Notre Dame, even though they're the visiting team, -2.5. Money line is Notre Dame -134, Miami +112, and the over/under is 50.5. Impact players on offense for Notre Dame. Obviously, Jeremiah Love, best running back in college football. Malachi Fields, UVA transfer at receiver. And I'm also going to put Jadarian Prince in here, just because he's that good. He would start on any other roster pretty much in college football. For Miami, Carson Beck, I think he's good. But him missing spring, how does it click? Does it click or is it flat? Obviously, Francis Moanoa at right tackle. I mean, you know he's might be the best offensive lineman in college football. Him and Caden Proctor, just a guy. And then Mark Fletcher at running back, talked about him, 600-yard guy last year, 9 touchdowns. He's coming back. Can he take stress off of Carson Beck with a unproven, worrisome receiving core? Defensively, Notre Dame, Drake Bowen, I talked about him, one of the best linebackers in college football. Christian Gray and Leonard Moore. Obviously, they have great safeties, but these two cornerbacks are really good, and I think if they match up and they take Miami's receivers out of the game, I think you can stack the box with a really good linebacking core and go after Carson Beck, number one, because you can man up on the outside. And number two, you can make sure Mark Fletcher doesn't get going on the run game, even though they have a great offensive line. For Miami, Ruben Bain is really, really good. O.J. Federico is really, really good. What I want to see is Wesley Basante take a step forward. These are all my impact players for Miami. Let's get into my pick. I got Notre Dame with the controlling win. Now, when I say controlling, I don't mean a blowout. I just think they control the game and they win handedly. Why I think this? Simply because they reload. Like, Notre Dame's just reloading. Their run game is really good. They can rely on it. And I think with a young quarterback in C.J. Carr, that really takes pressure off of him. He won't be as flustered during the game. He can see, even being, screens are an extension of the run game. That can also take pressure off a quarterback. It's an easy pass. Just toss it out there. Miami's defense, can the unknowns come through? That is their path to victory. Can Miami's unknowns in the secondary come through? Because if their secondary is as good as they think it is in-house, Miami could win this game, and they might win this game. But I'm taking Notre Dame to win and cover the spread.